See, current consumer trends, and for marketing, you need to understand what is the manifestation of a trend. So, say for example, yes, women are big on whiskey. Let's say it's a trend. How does it manifest in their lives? Right? Marketing campaigns need to showcase how a particular trend is manifesting in the lives of people. So you can't just go on and harp and have a creative idea of ki, oh, theek hai, that was the idea, that's the trend, and we are going to show it in the way that we want it. And these are 5 creative ideas to show it in terms of an advertisement, or these are 5 creative ideas to do a marketing campaign. You have to understand how a particular trend sort of translates into somebody's life.
Hello everyone, my name is Christine Saluja and I welcome you all again to one-on-one session with Thought Leader by Seco. So Seco is a first micro-learning based community where you can learn just about anything you want to in a minute. In short, it's a world where knowledge meets seekers. And today for our one-on-one session, we have Mukul Gautam with us. So let's hear from Mukul directly here. So Mukul, can you introduce yourself to our audience so that they can know you better?
Okay, so hi, my name is Mukul. I work as a researcher and I've been working as a researcher for about a decade or so. I am primarily into qualitative research and I also dabble with design thinking, semiotics, as well as future foresighting. So those are the areas of interest that I have. But when I do qualitative research, I end up working with a lot of brands and a lot of sort of organizations within both the commercial as well as the developmental sector. So all the up and coming sectors, etc., all of them plus all kinds of domains are what I sort of work in. So my expertise, in very simple words, lies with understanding what people want. That's pretty much about me.
All right, so that's like a crispy introduction. So without any further ado, let's start with the first segment. So the very first segment is a rapid fire wherein you have to just answer in 2 to 5 seconds. So are you ready for that?
Into 5 seconds?
2 to 5 seconds, whatever is coming in your mind first, you just have to answer that.
Okay, cool.
All right. So that one job profile you learned the most from?
My boss.
Your boss.
Is that the kind of answer that you're looking at, or more specific?
No, that the one job profile that you learned the most from.
One job profile that I learned the most from was research manager. I actually when I started out, I think that was the one job profile I've learned the lot.
All right. So if you're asked to clear one misconception of your domain, what would it be?
That qualitative research does not help you make decisions because it's not quantitative.
Agreed. So your favorite personality in the corporate world that you would love to get tips from?
I would have loved to pick the brains of Steve Jobs, but Mark Zuckerberg also doesn't like how. Yeah.
Amazing. So one secret in your professional life that has always worked for you?
More than anything else, more than skills, it's actually about honesty and sort of putting the hard yards.
True. So the last is describe yourself in 3 words.
Describe myself in 3 words. I am hardworking, I am ruthlessly ambitious, and I am professional. And I'm constantly improving. That's pretty much.
Wonderful. So this was our first rapid fire segment. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was pointed at others.
No. So now we will start with our second segment, which is a Q&A round for which our audience is waiting. So let's start with that. So the very first question is what is qualitative research?
See, qualitative research fundamentally is about asking people and sort of helping people understand what other people think and why do they think that way. It is an exploration of understanding why people make certain choices, why people make certain selections, why people reject certain things. So it's actually an entire exploration into the why. Qualitative research I think the good part is that qualitative research today is not what qualitative research was for about 5 years back, 10 years back. So there's a lot of evolution and there's a lot of trying out new things which is happening in qualitative research. But it is fundamentally a very deep dive into why people think the way that they think, why people choose the way that they choose, why people reject certain things, and why certain people are irrational, and why, while decision making theoretically should be rational, why are they at so many times irrational. It is actually an understanding of that. So qualitative research, long and short of it, is about that.
All right. Okay. So the next question is like, what is the brainwriting method in design thinking?
Okay, so brainwriting method in design thinking is actually one of the ways in which you sort of use those methods to generate new ideas. You use that method to generate new leads, new ideas. It can actually fit into any kind of problems where you're trying to either find more solutions to a problem, or you're trying to find ideas, or you're trying to find ideas about a certain thing. So what happens essentially is that you work on a principle of 6, 3, and 5. So there are 6 people in a room who sort of write 3 ideas in about 5 minutes, right? So it's actually a round table thing. So 5 minutes, 6 people write 3 ideas about a certain thing, about a certain idea. It could be about expansion of a certain idea. It could be about certain solutions about something, right? Then what they do is that after that 5 minutes is over, everybody sort of gives their sheet to the right person, and you take the left one, right? And you then follow the same process. By the end of it, you sort of moved through 6 times, so you effectively have more than you've got some 15 to 18, 15 to 20 odd ideas. And yeah, I think then it's actually a precursor to what you call affinity mapping. After you have those ideas, it's a way of collecting as many diverse ideas as possible. So that is essentially why it's called brainwriting as well. Yeah.
So that's an interesting method. Like, don't you think so? Like,
it is very interesting because what happens is that it fundamentally focuses on one thing, that that you are not bound by your idea. There are 6 people, so it really very effectively sort of captures everybody's ideas. What happens is that when you don't follow such a method, and let's say there are 6 people in a particular room, you end up, or the conversation ends up being dominated by a certain person who either may be senior, or who may have better ideas, or who may have had a history of knowing the topic a little bit more. So what happens is that in the process you lose a lot of great ideas. So this is actually in a way to contain that. So that is where it does that, and it effectively sort of tackles one more thing. It sort of gets people to work on each other's ideas, I think, which is the fundamental requirement. And design thinking, fundamentally, because it requires you to sort of really work with each other, brainstorm. Design thinking is not an isolated activity. It's something that you do with other people. So hence all the methods in design thinking are sort of geared towards helping everybody sort of brainstorm together or capture as many ideas as you can. So it's actually a very effective idea. I think not just in design thinking. I think it can be employed in all kinds of meetings and all kinds of things. Like design thinking is intended. It's not really a specified field of study. It is just how ideally things ought to be done. So that's where. So that the thing is with the brainwriting method is that it is applicable to many situations, which may be inside of design or which may be outside of design.
So it will, of course, like conflicts will also not happen in this whole brainwriting method.
It can. So you can technically write it. Let's say you were not doing research or you were not doing design. Let's say you were all sitting together trying to write a script of a play, right? And you want to write a new script. You don't want to go ahead and do anything. So you are just generating ideas. 6 people come together. It is just a first hand process of just collecting ideas, not even developing ideas. It is just that I give you a problem. 6 people may have 6 different ways of thinking about it, and that is just a way of, before you even start brainstorming, before you even start doing anything, it's just a way that people, without any kind of biases, write whatever they have to write. Yeah.
All right, got it. So the next question is like, what new skills do people acquire, develop, or refine through design thinking?
See, design thinking essentially is a skill. So it is not really a new topic of study. It is not really, it's not like engineering, or it's not like other things where you are learning something which is entirely new. Design thinking is actually focused at giving you the tools to tackle certain problems in a more structured manner, or in a better way, or make brainstorming better. So say for example, design thinking is a toolkit. I think design thinking needs to be thought of as a toolkit. And once you actually get into design thinking, then what happens is that you have to then build your understanding. It's not that you acquire any kind of things, or any kind of skill set with design thinking only. Design thinking, the fundamental skill set that you apply with design or acquire with design thinking, is the ability to really break down a problem, is the ability to really look at it from very, very different directions, is the ability to work on it together in a way which sort of takes into consideration everybody's ideas, and you are able to collaborate better. So it gives you a lot of human skills, but it over and above that, you have to acquire a lot of different skills, and you need to continue to sort of keep studying on when it comes to design thinking, because as context evolves, as people evolve, sort of rules keep changing. And it is, design thinking is not an isolated word. So it's not that, oh, there are these 30 rules that extend to sort of everything. It is an evolving field. Like few years back, everybody was going sleek with phones, sleek with clothes, sleek with cars, etc. Now people are back to going bigger with phones, bigger with cars. You see a bigger manifestation. So there's a lot of manifestations. It is, so that is where it gives you a lot of human skills. It gives you a lot of skills to tackle fundamental problems, and it gives you a sort of a mental map to sort of tackle a lot of problems. However, it is not the only skill that you can sort of just you. It's not that you just do a course in design thinking and then you know design thinking. You have to really apply it in a lot of fields for people to just understand and get a sense of it. And that is where you will see that a lot of design thinkers, designers may come from very, very different backgrounds. A lot of design thinkers actually do not have a degree in design at all, right? So it's about that. Yeah.
All right, got it. So, like, what are some significant methods for like creating a unique design thinking process?
See, there are already a fairly drawn out list of methods. So there's affinity mapping. We've already talked about brainwriting method. There is prototyping. There is a bunch of things that you can do, but the point with all of that and all of the methods remains that, see, a unique design thinking process requires you to have the ability to define a problem correctly, right? And I think this is also sort of probably sort of will also extend to the next question that you have. But the point is, but for having a unique design thinking challenge, there is a need to first break down what the question is, and really spend a lot of time understanding what the question is before you even get on to sort of solving things, before you even get on to doing something about it. So you really break down the problem, you really try to understand the problem, spend time on the problem. Many cases people don't do that, and many cases when you do research, people don't really spend a lot of time thinking or understanding, okay, where the problem came from, what is exactly the problem, is that the problem at all or not. Because people don't spend that kind of a time, generally the researchers don't really sort of, in many cases, don't live up to their entire potential or whatever they could have been. However, design thinking explicitly tells you that before you get on to solving, you need to actually expand the problem, and you need to really understand what the hell you're solving. And that is actually the most important skill set, or that is actually the most important method for creating a very unique design thinking process. And honestly, I don't think you can ever create a unique design thinking process. You can create a better design thinking process than probably somebody else or than your own self. But essentially, it's about just getting, before you jump onto the solutions. Our normal tendency is as humans to jump onto a solution. Before you jump onto a solution, you end up really explicating the problem and understanding the problem and what the hell is it. And maybe you'll understand that, oh, that is not at all the problem that you wanted to fix, or maybe that is not the problem at all, maybe it's about context. So unique design thinking process, that is one way. The other way of unique design thinking process is to not have 6 people or 5 people of the same kind. So if you're trying to design an effective design thinking process, you need to have people who are different from each other. You can't have 6 people who've been trained the same way. You can't have people who've been looking at things at the same way. So I am a researcher, I'm a qualitative researcher. You can't have 5 of me in a team, right? If there are 5 engineers in a team who've come from a particular college, who are friends and have gotten into a startup, for them to do design thinking is a very tedious task, because they will all approach the problem from the same thing. So design thinking, an effective design thinking process, requires heterogeneity. It requires breaking down of things, and it requires heterogeneity fundamentally. Over and above that, of course, there are multiple solutions which are available online. Those solutions don't change in design thinking versus anything else. Say, for example, UX design or qualitative research, they get branded very differently. So design thinking, I think heterogeneity, as well as the ability to really break down the problem before you go to a solution, are two things that will help you get to a unique design thinking process.
All right. So, like in short, it's like one should like do research before like diving into the whole like process of the design thinking.
Yeah.
First,
Say for example, you're into a design research, and somebody says that, hey, you know what? Um, we have this app, and it is not working. Competition's app is working, right? And they're like, we believe that it is because that people don't feel that it is an intuitive interface, or the design of the app is not very easy to use. Right. I don't really go ahead in the design thinking process to go ahead and mount a research based on that. I will first try to understand whether whatever the hypothesis is or whatever the problem that we're stating, is that a problem at all or not. What are the reasons that we have that we're calling it a problem, and then you really sort of get down to sort of designing a solution, or you really get down to understanding कि हाँ इसके बारे में what is it something that you need to do about it, or do you, or can we actually define the problem first? So design thinking fundamentally starts with a very extensive problem definition, and then anything else. Yeah.
okay. All right. So now we have like talked about these different methods. Now, like, how can like someone like tackle the design challenge?
How can somebody tackle a design challenge? See, fundamental rules remain the same. A design challenge can actually be very, very different from each other. So when you talk about design challenge, or one design challenge could be, hey, in my organization, getting people to talk about their feelings is very difficult. It's an HR challenge, that is a design challenge, right? Hey, I designed this particular product, and this product does not really work with people. That's a design challenge, right? Hey, I designed this app, and this app first page people come to, but they don't go ahead and buy, and they don't go to the second page. That's also a design challenge, right? So the easiest way to really tackle a design challenge is to not think that you're a know-it-all. You actually take a problem. So say, for example, if there is an HR related problem, and I am a researcher, yes, but I've never spent any time in HR, or I have never had any background in HR, then I may do the most brilliant research, but I may not have contextual information, right? So you need to find ways to get yourself contextual information. Let's say tomorrow I'm going to go ahead and do a design research, which is actually, I'm going to give you an actual example. Say, for example, you want to do design research in sexual and reproductive health, because people in villages find it incredibly hard to get a oral contraceptive, right? What do? One design solution could be that you can simply make it a packet which is smaller than this, so that it can go inside the arm, right? One way is that you can probably have it skin colored, so nobody really gets it, so because the entire stigma is around it. But the point is that till the time I don't go to the place, till the time I don't observe people in their actual context, in their actual behavior, then you can't really do anything about it in a design thinking challenge. So in design thinking challenges, and for you to tackle any design thinking challenge, we don't do it the way that you and I are doing it. It's not that you will get me to a room, or you will get in front of me and ask me questions, and I'll give you answers, and that will be the place where you put to get the solution. For a design thinking challenge, you will first need to understand the problem, or you would need to really study something in its actual context. If you are actually designing for an HR office, you need to be in that office. If you're designing for a for a small city, a need for sexual and reproductive health contraceptives, you need to spend time on the ground, live there, study there, understand how people think, understand how communities. So it's about A, spending time. It's about B, understanding people and understanding things in the context in which they are happening. And it is not about questioning and answering. So say, for example, even if you were to understand or tackle a design challenge with regards to my mobile phone usage, you can't get me to a lab and be like, अच्छा अब आप ये app को चला के दिखाओ, right? You will have to find a way to get me, if not in an ideal condition, you will have to find a way to get me in the moment in which I am doing it, and then only you will be able to understand what the actual problem is or not.
All right. So, like, I'm sure that the tips that you have given for this question would definitely help a lot of people, like, who feel like how they can like tackle this whole design challenge.
Okay.
So, with this, like, the next is like, how can like one identify consumer trends related to a certain domain?
So one of the things that you fundamentally try and do in any kind of consumer trend researches is first understand how many places can you sort of get that information from, right? It is not a one step process, it is not a one place process, right? It is something that you have to look at in different sort of places, in different sort of ways. So say, for example, if you're trying to identify trends in a certain direction, first you identify what you will call a trend, right? Let's say young people moving out of their houses and independently living is a trend, right? Women getting increasingly confident with alcohol and whiskey is a trend, right? So both of them are very different trends. So one of them are sociological, socio-cultural trends. One of them is actually a very category specific trend. So what you do is that when you are looking for trends, and when you're looking for certain things within the domain, you end up looking online what are the things that people are saying. You do a deep dive, you do a very detailed diagnostic of what people are saying, what others are writing about it. If it is a trend, if it is a ripple, somebody else would have written about it, or somebody else will write about it. So you go there first, right? Then you try and accumulate information from a lot of different kinds of sources for you to build a workable hypothesis कि ये trend है और ये trend नहीं है. अगर ये trend है तो इसके ये evidences हैं. So for a trend to be easily identified, there are three things that work in its favor. A, factors which are contributing to that trend happening. Second, counter forces for that trend to not happen. And third, wildcards. Say, for example, if I was to take the analogy of women and alcohol, right? And let's say I was going to do this study about women and alcohol in UP, right? And I'm doing this study, etc., and I've done the study. 1 year down the line, the client has plans, and suddenly the government wakes up, like some other states. They were like, oh, from tomorrow onwards, there will be no alcohol sold in this particular state. Now that's a wild card. You can have all the trends in place, they all go out of the window. So for trends, you need to understand what works in its favor, what are the deterrents for it, or what are the counter trends to it, or what are the counter sort of arguments to a particular trend, and what are the wild cards. But essentially, you really break down a trend. Say, for example, I'll give you an example. When you're doing alcohol, right? We say, for example, we're studying women and alcohol, right? One of the factors which contribute to it is the fact that there are a lot of women. In fact, there are more women in higher education institutes in India than men. A contribution could also be about the fact that there are a lot of women who are moving from other cities to mainstream cities and getting mainstream jobs as well. And then they are also mingling with other people. And hence, when in a corporate setup, other people are also drinking certain things, they are also experimenting. So it's not just women, women only drink vodka or wine. No, women drink whiskey. A lot of clubs, a lot of programs and clubs in the country for high-end alcohol, for Scotch whiskies, for malts are incidentally run by women. So you have to really break it down and understand key what are the different contributing factors, and only then you get to a trend. A trend is not to be studied. It is not to be studied linearly. Inside out, you don't study it. You understand what is happening out in the world, and you try and draw causality to understand whether it is a trend or it is not a trend. Certain times they are facts, so certain thing will come on for a year and will not be there for the next year. So that you clearly try to understand what will have a long term sort of horizon as well. So that's how you get trends.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. So, we have like known this to identify the consumer trends. So, like, how should marketing campaigns be designed, keeping in mind the current consumer trends?
See, current consumer trends and for marketing, you need to understand what is the manifestation of a trend. So, say for example, um, yes, women are big on whiskey. Let's say it's a trend. How does it manifest in their lives? Right? Marketing campaigns need to showcase how a particular trend is manifesting in the lives of people. So you can't just go on and harp and have a creative idea of ki, oh, okay, that was the idea, that's the trend, and we are going to show it in the way that we want it, and these are 5 creative ideas to show it in terms of an advertisement, or these are 5 creative ideas to do a marketing campaign. You have to understand how a particular trend sort of translates into somebody's life. What are the actual behaviors that it elicits? What are the kind of associations that people have with it? What are the kind of things that trend does not stand for? Right? So that is needed to be clearly understood. You really need to build context in your marketing plans. You need to build context into your marketing campaigns. You can't just go ahead and identify a trend, and from your own life you'll be like, oh, I have seen it, my friends and we really all do it, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in a marketing campaign. You and your TG could be complete antithesis of each other. You and your actual core TG could actually be people who behave very, very differently, who don't have the same values. Many a times, many campaigns, what happens is that you understand a particular trend and you go after the most creative idea to sort of showcase that trend, because your metrics are different, your guiding principles are different. You want to be talked about a lot on social media, right? But ultimately you won't be able to sell products, which is the ultimate need for a marketing campaign, right? So hence it is very simple that you understand what works for whom in what context, and how does it translate into their actual lives. That's all that you need to understand about trends if you want to translate them into marketing campaigns. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so so I just want to know like one thing, like how has the pandemic changed the consumer trend for luxury goods and giffen goods?
See, pandemic has impacted the consumer trend for luxury goods and sort of giffen goods in a very different sort of way, right? And there's a split between it. So you, in some countries you will see, say for example, China bounced back before, and there was a barrage of luxury products that got sold there, right? People went mad with almost revenge shopping. Like people were holding back and people just went out and shopped, right? In India, that consumer trend is likely to, in the long term, it is not likely to see a lot of change, right? Immediate pandemic wise, of course, you have people at different levels um, watching out their purchase or micro planning their expenditures, and hence they may defer certain purchases. So when you talk about luxury products now, there are multiple kinds of audiences who buy luxury products. There is an audience like me who would buy a luxury product out of hard earned money because I can now buy it and I'm going to go ahead and own it. But I wasn't really that rich to begin with. I didn't have a lot of extra cash so that I could just go buy whatever the hell I want from a store and then do whatever I wanted, right? For a person like me, there might be deferred purchases. For a person like me, you would see that I might choose different brands which may give me a perception of luxury but may not be that effective. So I may find newer codes of luxury coming in, right? So it may not be about a It may not be about the traditional Louis Vuittons or the Burberry or this and that and different kinds of brands. I may choose brands which may slightly be one step lesser but may have high sort of luxury value. So I may go to my option B, and that is a lot which is happening right now for people like me, for people who are millennials, or for people who have been in the jobs for a fair bit of time and now have the money to really spend on expensive luxury products. However, when it comes to people who already had the money and people who for whom luxury products are a lifestyle choice and not really a prized possession, for them nothing has changed. For them, they were buying luxury products, they are buying luxury products, they will continue to buy luxury products. Even for a person like me, you will see that, or people like me, or people who are very similar, you will see that there is a temporary wait and watch strategy. But as we sort of go 6 months down the line, 8 months down the line, as people understand that, oh, 6 months down the line, whether I have clarity of where my life is going, or whether I am not anticipating a life-changing event like wave 2 was, like wave 3 was. Wave 3 is still anticipated, but like wave 2 was a life-changing event, and people really sort of just watched and waited and watched, and now people are waiting and watching. If you see, Amazon sales were at a low. If you'll see, other e-commerce platform sales were at a low this time around. So at this moment, people are waiting and watching. If they understand that, oh, there is going to not be a cause of worry in 6 months down the line, they will go ahead and buy more, and they will come back to their actual behaving purchases. But pandemic has shifted that behavior. It has deferred purchases. Pandemic has also ensured that I look at alternative brands. So I'll give you my example. Let's say a Gant shirt would have been sort of luxury, so to say. I would have paid some 4,000-5,000 for a shirt or so, right? However, today I will go online and buy labels which are lesser known, right? I might go and buy an Andaman shirt. Now that is maybe $1,000, $1,500 lesser, but then I have flaunt value of different kind. It's a sustainable product. So in a place like this, in a space like this, because we live in a social world, we don't stop projecting. Okay, it's not like I will stop showcasing that, hey, I can afford luxury, but I will find newer ways of doing it, which people are now doing. And in the process, it may happen that some of these behaviors may stick and some new brands may emerge. They're already emerging. And it may also happen that people will go down. The more likely situation and the most confident situation, certain, like whatever we can say with a lot of confidence, is that once people even have a semblance of okay, I am not going to anticipate any other life-changing event, people will go back to their behaviors. It has happened in the past 1.5 years only with a lot of categories where people change their behaviors, moved away from it, but are now back to their own behaviors.
Rightly said, like it has changed, like the pandemic has changed, but it's like people who are like already buying it, of course it won't affect them. Like they would still.
Say for example, you're sitting here. Thankfully, what the pandemic has done is that you need to really worry about this half of your board. You don't have to worry about what comes below because it's not visible, right? So say for example, you're wearing a certain sort of jumper jacket, say for example, right? The need to project doesn't go. You will maybe find newer ways, different ways of doing it. I will probably find different ways of showcasing to my social circle that I have wealth, but I am not going to, a pandemic is not going to take that away from me. I will of course still do it. I will still of course tell people, hey, you know what? I tried this new brand of alcohol. I tried this thing. So what happens is that luxury related behavior would manifest very differently in different kinds of categories. So say for example, in alcohol, like it has always manifested, it has continued to manifest, that people try newer, different kinds of alcohols, right? Monkey shoulder ho gaya aapka. You have these small versions which have sort of come in. You have small batch products that have come in, Indian products like Rampur which have come in, right? Their luxury products don't change. However, clothing, it will change. Clothing, it is likely to expand. Yeah.
Correct. All right. So the next question is like, how does qualitative research help formulating strategies to penetrate a market?
See, qualitative research, I would like to just sort of refer back to the question that we had before, that what is the myth about it? The myth about it is that it doesn't help you take decisions, where it does. So where if your qualitative research is done well, and if it is done by somebody who understands what sampling is like, if you've gone to the right person and asked the right questions, you do not need 1,000 people to tell you what to do. 100 people, if you understand them in great depth, can tell you what to do with the new market, right? Qualitative research helps you do that in the following ways. In a new market, it will help you understand who the consumer is and why they are making decisions. In the new market, it is not important data to collect that, hey, these many people are doing this, right? Like today, if I want to go ahead and expand into Japan, and let's say I'm making mobile phones, I know exactly how many people and what kind of audiences, what percentage of audiences is using what, and that data is freely available online. So whatever is available online, you don't go ahead and really reinvent that wheel. Through a qualitative research, you first try and understand what people do, why they do it, why are they deciding this, why are they not deciding this. Say for example, in India, modular furniture and DIY furniture should take off, right? We are taking all global trends, etc. We are sort of using global products. We're global citizens. We are moving out. We're moving abroad. We have a lot of holidays where we do things outside. We do things here. However, there are certain fundamental things that don't change about us. So even in a new market, I can tell a client confidently that, hey, everybody is driven by a certain context in India. They will not go ahead and hammer their furniture and create their own furniture, because a furniture wala or carpenter does that for you. So hence you don't go ahead and do that. So in a new market, qualitative research will help you. You will have the numbers, you will have the trends, and you may out when you look at those numbers, you may have certain thoughts. Qualitative research will help you understand the lives of people and the lives of and the reasons behind their decisions. One excellent book which is in similar ways, which sort of takes the qualitative principles, is actually the Culture Code, where you try and understand what is the earliest memory of a certain product. Let's say that is one question. So in Japan, there is a case study. In Japan, it was a heavy tea drinking place. Nescafe went and did a study there. It is fairly documented that they want to understand what is the association with a hot beverage, and it turned out to be mother's love. Now you can go ahead and do a lot with that. If you have that information, you can tap into that emotion a lot to have that information. But if you don't know what is the riding emotion behind it, then you will not go ahead and do anything about it. It is easy to say, and it has worked in certain categories, so you can also counter me. Okay, oh, if I give people if I give people more discounts, they will buy. So say for example, I give you two scenarios, right? that I'm going to give you a 1+1 product. So let's say there is a 100 rupee product, and I'm telling you that I'm going to give you 1+1 in 100 rupees, right? And if I tell you that I am going to give you 25% off in next 6 purchases, right? That's 150% discount, cumulatively told. You are going to save 150 bucks, but you are of course going to choose 1+1. And most people choose 1+1 for a very simple reason, that it is a benefit that it's easy to calculate. I don't have to put in mental effort. I don't have to do anything. It's 1+1, and I am just going to go ahead and take that benefit. And whether that other benefit is greater, I'm not going to watch around 6 months to understand whether that will happen or not happen. So underwriting emotions are things that you try to understand in qualitative research. You try to understand why the hell are people taking these decisions. So that is an irrational thing, na? If I now frame that question differently, that hey, would it be fine with you if you saved 100 bucks or 150 rupees? Of course you'll say what stupid question is it, 150 rupees, right? But in an actual scenario, you will not behave like that, because that is an irrational scenario. Our qualitative research will tell you that hey, people do not worry about the actual value of something. At that moment when people are shopping for this product, people want to understand the perceived value of something. And that is where, if two companies are then trying to make a sale, right, and two companies are trying to draw consumer attention, and they say that, oh, we are going to use discounting to do it, then a better deal is always to go 1+1 and not 25% in 6 ways. So that is what qualitative. So by that example, I was just trying to sort of help you understand that you can't do anything by understanding how many people are doing this or how many people are not doing it till the time you don't have an understanding of why they're doing something or why they're not doing something. And that is where qualitative research comes in. And one of the biggest myths about qualitative research is that it is focus group discussions and in-depth interviews. That is just one part of qualitative research. Design thinking by fundamental principles is a qualitative exercise, right? Observations are qualitative in nature. So qualitative extends much beyond focus groups and much beyond in-depth interviews, but people have this perception because they read it in college that, oh, it is about focus group discussions and in-depth interviews.
Yeah. Right. So with this, we have come to the last question. So,
Okay.
what are the roadblocks you face while consulting for a corporation?
See, the only roadblocks that you face, and a fun roadblock to have is that people believe that they want to have a lot more with a lot less money being spent for it, right? That's one kind of a roadblock. But I think if you ask any industry and any agency, they will give you that roadblock. One fundamental roadblock that I felt is that I don't think people spend enough time with their agencies and to actually work together. Like, say for example, if you have an agency, you can't just go ahead and be like, oh, I paid the money, now it's their job to do it. One has to be completely involved in the process. Many people don't make the entire effort to understand how are certain things happening, how are certain answers arrived at. Because, and you know what happens in that process? In that process, a lot of people take wrong answers from their agencies and then action it out because they don't question it, because they've not been involved in the process. That's one bottleneck. The other bottleneck is when you come with biases. That, like I said, qualitative research, oh, do 4 FGDs and 3 groups, sorry, do 4 FGDs and 10 interviews and then tell us what will come. And the last thing, which is a very, it doesn't happen as often now. It used to happen a lot 10 years back, 5 years back, 6 years back. That people want you to break down and be like, oh, how many people said this, right? How many people really believe in this, and for how many people is this important, right? For how many people, like you are saying that, okay, this emotion is driving people. How many people said it? There is no answer to how many people said it. If one person said it, and if they said it in the right way, if 2 people said it, 4 people said it, 5 people said it in the right way, they said it, it's a valid answer. It's a very, very valid answer. So say for example, that is one of the fundamental reasons why a lot of very, very good insights, a lot of very, very good things do not eventually make into a marketing plan. I think, and before, I know there's positive time also. So just another thing is that, see, you have to understand that if you are having a conversation with me and I know 10 things, in a conversation, I don't have those 10 things ready in my head for me to tell you, oh, yeah, the reason I use this product is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That never happens. So even in a conversation, you may only tell me 3 reasons, but you may have 7 other reasons as well, which I may not have heard. So in a sample of 30, 40, 50 people, somebody who was like you told me those other 3 reasons, and then somebody told me those other 3 reasons. So of course, I'm not going to have 3 people tell me all 10 reasons, but they've told me multiple things. So I think there is a lot of romanticizing numbers. There is a lot of romanticizing, oh, how many people said it. But the fact is that you need to understand intuitively, and you need to understand the strength of that emotion rather than how many people said it. And I think that's one of the biggest bottlenecks that you follow in consulting or in qualitative research in particular, or anything which is non-numbers in nature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agree. That is faced like everywhere in the corporate world as well. So with this, like we are done with the segment. Like I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it too.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I too always like talking. So every time somebody gets me to talk, I'm happy. After a while, I'm very happy to talk away.
But really, like all your answers were like really crisp and informative, and I'm sure like whosoever will be listening to this session will learn immensely. So yeah, like thank you for answering like these questions with such perfection, and like thank you once again for participating in this one-on-one session with us and taking out time from your busy schedule.
No, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, thank you so much for doing this. This has been fairly easy, convenient to do. I think it helped that the questions were fairly pointed and clear. Many a times you sort of move around in circles because the questions are not clear. So yeah, well done to you too. Yeah, well done for the questions, and I hope that if people sort of listen in, maybe they might pick something actionable, which was just my own. My only intent was that people don't take the jargon away from here. People take away what is actionable and what they can utilize. So I hope that happens.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.